There is a kind of man who has been shaped entirely by movement. I want to be precise about this because it matters for the story. Not restless, which implies that stillness is the goal and motion is the failure to achieve it. This is different. This is a man for whom stillness is simply not available, the way flight is not available to certain creatures, no matter how sincerely they attempt it. A man who wakes in the night and reaches for the sound of water, because only moving things sound like home. Aeolid was this kind of man. He was descended from Aeolus, keeper of the winds, and the lineage showed in everything. He had crossed seas with names that translated roughly to the kind of trouble-sensible sailors. Avoided, he had fought in the wars of kings who employed him well, and would not have remembered him a season after he left their service. And he bore no resentment about this, because he understood the transaction clearly on both sides. He was good at what he did. That was enough. His body carried the record of it in the way soldiers' bodies do, not dramatically, not with visible ruin, but in the way he entered rooms, in the way his eyes moved before the rest of him did, in the particular quality of silence he wore when others were being loud, the silence of a man who has heard enough noise to last several lifetimes and has decided to spend the remainder of his days in relative quiet, if the world will permit it, which the world generally did not. He came to Delphi the way men like him always find their way to Delphi eventually. Something the war road had placed in him and left unanswered, some question that had been living in his chest long enough that he had finally decided to take it somewhere. It might receive a response. He paid his fee. He climbed the slope with the other suppliants. He waited his turn in the way of a man who knows how to wait because he has spent his life in the weather of other people's timings. Then he saw her. She was performing a duty. She was not looking at him. She was entirely present in her function, composed in the way of people who have trained themselves to be holy somewhere. And Aeolid stood at the edge of the precinct and watched her, and felt the gales inside his chest go still. Not forever. A moment, long enough to register. In that moment, the winds that had lived in him since childhood simply stopped, and what remained was a silence so unfamiliar it almost hurt. The silence of a man who has just become aware that he has been carrying a sound for so long. He stopped hearing it. He stood very still and tried to understand what he was feeling, and the feeling did not cooperate with being understood. It simply sat there in his chest, solid as a stone. She did not look at him. She did not need to. Some meetings do not require the other person's participation to take effect. He had navigated by smaller signs than this his whole life. A man like Aeolid does not require much confirmation. He knew a heading when he found one.